Yo guys, welcome to a new review. Today I will be talking about Death on the Nile. Alright, so Death on the Nile, the official sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, a movie that came out back in 2017. And back in 2017, I wasn't the biggest moviegoer ever, so I just watched some movies that came out in theaters. I watched all the Marvel movies, I watched all the DC movies, and that was kind of it. I didn't go to the theater for every movie that was made. But there was one movie that had my interest, and it was Murder on the Orient Express. And I must say, I didn't know the story, I didn't know the book, I didn't see the movie that was made before that in the 1970s, so I didn't know anything about Orient Express. So I went into that movie knowing nothing, and then it's actually quite great to see how that mystery turned out. I'm not gonna tell you the outcome in the case you did not see that movie too, or you did not read the book. There is a fantastic outcome in that movie over who the killer is that I think nobody actually really saw coming. And I really love that. So I was kinda hoping the same thing would happen in Death on the Nile, but not the exact same because that would be unoriginal. And I must say, I was disappointed. I was very, very disappointed. And that's got nothing to do with the killer or with the movie itself. That's more on Agatha Christie because, well, she chose who the killer was. But I can't blame it all on her because she still did a great job making a beautiful book. I believe that. Is it the movie? Is it the cast? I don't know, but something disappointed me, so let's just get straight into this movie. And let's just say that on the main side, there's nothing actually really wrong with Death on the Nile, apart from the fact that it maybe is a little... No, it's very predictable. I mean, I knew who the killer was almost immediately, and that's just because the killers actually are the only ones with an alibi. And that's something for you to decide. Do you think those people have an alibi or not? That's up to you. But they were the killers. I'm not saying who it is, so I'll leave it in the air for someone. But it was predictable. I got them almost immediately. Furthermore, the story of this movie is kind of problematic. We start off in Belgium on the Iron Front, and it's actually quite interesting and quite cool. It's very stylistic, it's in black and white. It really works for what they were telling. The de-aging on the face of Kenneth Branagh gave me horrors and gave me nightmares, but that's something I will put aside for this. It still looked very good. And it told us a small story about a wound that Hercule Poirot had, and it didn't work. I mean, it didn't come back until the ending of the movie, and it wasn't even said at all in the first movie, so why add it in now, I didn't know, and I still don't know why it was necessary that much. But it was there, and it was nice shot, so I give props to that. It was nice shot, it only didn't matter for me. The rest of the movie, well, we are more than halfway through it until we get to the killing and until we get to the murder mystery part of the movie, which is the main focus of it. So, I mean, that was problematic, and I hated that part, and I was kind of bored in the beginning just because it took the movie so damn long to get just to the main story, and that was bad, and I didn't like that. For the rest, it's still incredibly entertaining. It's a really fun movie, and you have a really fun time watching this, especially if you like the genre. Well, Agatha Christie is the mastermind of it all, so it's her work, so you are gonna get satisfied with what you get. I was a tad bit satisfied, but that got nothing to do with the story that Kenneth Branagh wrote for this movie, and mainly because the story of the book did not make it into the movie that much. I think it's a really thick book, and the movie was just way too short. It spends way too much time on everything happening in the intro and not the killing, and then the actual mystery, there is no time for that left. So instead of a murder mystery where we figure out what has happened, we just get Hercule Poirot talking to the guests on the boat. The guests on the boat telling Hercule that they had some problems with the main character that was killed in the beginning of time and years ago, and it's quite interesting, but it's not necessary to know all that. And then a moment later, Hercule Poirot just gives us everything that happened that night and everything that the killer did. And he says like, you are the killer and you did this. But there's no indication on how he came to that conclusion. And that's the problem with this movie. It skipped the murder mystery part and just did something like that. It was more like a game of Cluedo than a murder mystery movie. And that's quite painful. But as I said, even though the murder mystery part wasn't the best thing about this movie, it's still a fun and entertaining time. I mean, the cast is problematic. The characters that they portrayed, they were fun. But you've got two anti-vaxxers being Letitia Wright and I thought Gal Gadot. You have a Zionist, I don't know who that was, but I read it online that there was a Zionist in there. We have a cannibal in the form of Armie Hammer, so that's interesting. I don't know the exact story, so I'm not judging by any of that, but it's not good to be a cannibal, I know that for certain. So that was interesting. The cast is a little bit problematic, but hey, Kenneth Branagh can't be blamed for that because this movie was made in 2019 before the pandemic, but then it had to move because he had to work on Artemis Fowl. That was a disaster movie, so it was not the best choice, but he was obligated to do that. So this movie was put on a shelf, then they got back to it, then a pandemic happened, then COVID happened, then everything happened, and now we have a movie with a problematic cast, and hey, they still all do a fine job, but just knowing everything in your head about these actors, well, somewhere it's funny. I gotta say, somewhere it's really funny that all these people are in a murder mystery together. I just find that slightly ironic, so I like that part. So yeah, the cast that this movie has is problematic, but it actually fuels the entertainment level of it, so I can give the movie that. They made it better because they are assholes. Or something like that. I don't judge. Please don't eat other humans. And a strong point about the first one being Murder on the Orient Express, it looked awesome, and as I said before, the first scenes looked awesome. Everything about the Iron Front in Belgium looked phenomenal. The rest of the movie, well, there are some painful CGI jobs in this. It's less entertaining and less beautiful to see because, well, they go to Egypt and they go to the pyramids and they go to the gate with the 4 pharaohs or gods. I have forgotten the name, so I'm very sorry. But that's actually everything you see. The boat isn't really that interesting. It's more like one big place, where the train was like multiple big places. So that was more interesting of a location. This one was just, it looked nice. So yeah, Death on the Nile. How did you like it? Let me know in the comments down below. In the end, I thought this was a really entertaining movie, but it has a lot of flaws and a lot of problems. So I'm going 609 on 1000 or a 6.1 to 10. Have you seen this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.